Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. The questions you have, may Allah reward you and protect you, very serious questions. And you need to open up a hotline, a mufti hotline, to have somebody to constantly answer the questions of fiqh. And so because of the limited time, we cannot answer some fiqh questions. You have to give this to the local faqih and have them answer what is on your mind. One question is saying, I have read about the Nation of Islam in America, how they are misguiding the Muslims and how their false propaganda is being dealt with in America. Yes, there was a group that started in the 1930s, and they came from the descendants of the slaves, but they did not have the proper understanding of Islam, so they mixed up Islam with Christianity and black nationalism, and they came up with this organization. And they said that their leader was Allah in person, and their teacher, Elijah Muhammad, was the last prophet. And so, but this was identified as being false teachings, and one of their followers, Malcolm X, he rebelled against them and came into real Islam, and then realized that it is the religion of all nations, all colors, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is above 7 heavens. And so their leader has passed away, and their numbers are now getting very small. Even their recent leader, Minister Louis Farrakhan, is not well, and the group is going down. And they are basically coming into the mainstream of Islam. So this is something of the past, and it is no longer having a big impact in America. It says, is there any information about the Algerian assistance to the Muslim slaves of West Africa along the coast of Algeria? There was resistance. We know that from Andalusia, the people did go into North Africa, Morocco, Algeria, Tunis, all the way around Egypt, and even in Turkey itself, there were quarters where the Andalusians lived. And there were also people they called pirates, Khairuddin, Barbarossa, and people who resisted, along the coastlines. And so these were the pirates who were resisting the major ships. This is before the Somali pirates today, who are on the coast. It may not be the same intention as the Somali pirates, but it's something that comes out of oppression. And they're resisting in the best way that they know how, the great powers. And so this was a manifestation. And there was some interaction with Muslims in North Africa and West Africa in resistance of Islam. It said yesterday, you said that few years the world constitution will radically change. Please elaborate on this. What I was speaking about is that we can see from the alamat as-sa'a, from the signs of the last days, that we are in a period of great natural catastrophes. And the Prophet ﷺ spoke about earthquakes and different natural catastrophes that would come before the day of resurrection, and this has come to pass. The environment, we see what's happening in the environment. Most of the hurricanes and floods and temperature changes that are happening in the world, when they describe them, they say it is the worst in living memory. In living memory. They're even talking here now about the rain coming down and floods. They're talking about 100 years ago. So everything is now getting extreme as we go toward the day of resurrection. And so when this happens, when the flood comes, when the hurricane and tornado comes, then people are forced to go back to the basics. And so the so-called great powers of the world, with great changes in the environment, can be brought to their knees. And so Muslims need to now, before it is too late, to organize ourselves and to go back to our faith, and to prepare ourselves for the coming times. What do you suggest for someone who is weak in faith and used to do many negative acts, and they struggle now to deal with their deen? There's a lot of questions like this. And it is important for us that we try to understand, and this is important when we're teaching ibadah, not just to teach somebody how to make salat, but why do we make salat? Not just how do we fast in Ramadan, but why are we fasting in Ramadan? We need to know more now about the rituals that we are doing. Because if we just do rituals without understanding why we are doing it, if we don't talk to Allah, in a sense, when we are making our salat, we have a chance to communicate with the creator of the heavens and the earth. If we just look at salat as a duty that we're doing, going up and down and doing it because everybody else is, and don't make it personal, then it becomes difficult. But when we realize that that salat is a chance for us to communicate with the creator, and changes can happen in our life, dua is real, then the salat becomes a source of strength when you are in trouble. That's why the Prophet ﷺ would say to Bilal, arihna bis salat. You know, make us relaxed with salat. It wasn't a burden to make salat. It was relaxation. And in Ramadan, when we make Salatul Taraweeh, it is supposed to be relaxation. You know, you're doing Taraweeh, Raha. But sometimes we're doing Taraweeh and it's like aerobics or something, up and down and going and, you know, reading and like we're missing out on the beauty of the Quran. It is better to read a few verses with tajweed and tartil and we understand it than to read so fast that you don't even know what's going on. And going up and down and then you're just tired and dizzy. This is not the purpose of salat. So we need to go back, you know, to that real connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we are doing our actions. And I would recommend to people that the study of Asiratun Nabawiyah. Study seerah, study the lives of the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When we see living Islam, because when you read these stories, it helps to build your heart. It strengthens you because you see how human beings took this knowledge and the things that they did. So sometimes we just learn the rituals, but we don't study our history. We don't have perspective. So we need to have, to know the story of the prophets, the story of the companions of the prophets, the great scholars, what they have done, and also travel to different places. Travel to Mecca and Medina. Try if you possibly can. You have an Australian passport. Make salat in Masjid al-Aqsa. Alhamdulillah, we took 45 people from the Cape and we made Salatul Jummah in Masjid al-Aqsa. And the brothers and sisters were glad to see us. And they said, tell the Muslims, come to the masjid. Don't abandon Masjid al-Aqsa. And so if you have the capability and with an Australian passport, you may be able to get in. If you have the ability, then go to Masjid al-Aqsa. Travel to these different places, to understand the deen, and this will raise, your consciousness. And then get involved in Islamic activities. Feed the poor, relief work. There's a lot of crises going on. Get involved with relief. Get involved with building the masjids, building centers. Get involved in these activities. When you're involved in this, when you give from that which is you love, when you are involved in this, it creates a type of mahabba inside of your heart. There's a love that develops inside of your heart. So it's important to be involved in these activities and not just the 5 pillars and the few actions. Just stick with these things and they become dry. But we need to have that love along with what we do. It is saying, I've recently realized that I really need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm trying so hard to stay focused and I want to wear hijab, but I feel anxious about work and social surroundings. What advice do you give? Well, it's important for you to be around sisters who are wearing hijab. And also I would advise to the sisters, what happened in Canada is that the sisters got together and they had circles where they would share their experiences. So they share what they're going through. And when you share it with other people who are going through it, then you learn strategies and you also have somebody who can relate to you in terms of what you're going through, trying to wear the hijab, and trying to appear like a Muslim. It's very difficult for the sisters because they will stand out more in public. The brother can come to the masjid with his thobe and then he puts on his Superman shirt and goes downtown and he hides. And so, but this really is a sharaf. It's a nobility that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to you, and it's something, taken from the prophets. They suffered also. And so what you're going through, inshallah, will be a light for you on the day of resurrection. inshallah, it will be forgiveness. Anytime somebody's looking at you in a mean way or saying something, then inshallah, this is a source of blessings for you, and inshallah, a source of the forgiveness of your sins. But you need to talk with each other. You need to discuss it and learn strategies, because there's strategies in doing this. And if the sister has good intentions, try slowly but surely. Try your best as you can. You may not be 100%, but you try the best that you can until you can raise your standard, to the best standard according to the Sunnah. Please say something to the parents who make it hard for us to get married. Well, this is a very important issue now, and for a long time we have taken Islam from our cultures. And our cultures tell us that you must marry a man who looks a certain way. And some people say you can't marry the man until he becomes doctor, he's a doctor. Or he has a certain amount of money. Or he's got a car and he's got all these different things. And so what happens in some Muslim countries is the men do not get married until they're 30, 35 years old. And something like women don't get married till later. And in the past, maybe that was okay because the societies were controlled. You weren't seeing nakedness in front of you. You weren't under temptation. It has changed today. Adultery and fornication has become the order of the day. And some people will look to you like you're strange if you're not committing adultery and fornication. And so therefore, we have to go back to our sources. We have to not be ashamed of our religion. And you'll see in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they would get married when they're young. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because in our lifestyle, we don't have teenagers. Here you have children, and then teenagers, and then adults. And a teenager is somebody who's lost in between childhood and adulthood. He's not an adult yet, but he's not a child. He wants the food like an adult. He wants the privileges, but he doesn't want to take responsibility. Okay, but in our culture, even a young person is taught responsibility from when he's young. And when she reaches puberty, she's taught how to be a woman. And not have to wait 8 years before she's taught how to be a woman. And so there's nothing wrong with our young people getting married. We need to support them. Maybe it means that we have to help them for 2 or 3 years. But it's better that they did that than they fall into boyfriend, girlfriend, and fall into fornication and adultery, and HIV, AIDS, and drugs, and all the other things that come when you're living this world. And so, in order to bring them out of this, we have to think out of the cultural box that only a person who looks a certain way, only a certain tribe, only a certain group. This tribalism is killing us. We have to come out of tribalism and nationalism and judge people not on their color or their tribe, but on their taqwa. There's nothing wrong with marrying somebody in your family. Nothing wrong with that. That's permissible. But our family, our greater family, which is supposed to be deeper than blood, is the family of Islam. And so it's not till we reach that point that we will really get the taste of what the love of Islam really is. So what is the best way of stopping watching TV or minimizing this? This is something that we need to provide alternatives. And the projects that you have here now with the youth center coming up, these are alternatives. You cannot just say no to the young people. You have to have alternatives. And so therefore we need to support alternative documentaries, television programs, DVDs, so they don't have to watch these other things. Because this generation is in the habit of sitting and watching boxes, watching tubes. Right? If they don't get it here, they'll get it on their cell phone. So this is a whole new generation. So we have to provide alternatives for them. Get them busy. And this is where sports and hiking, athletics, fishing and swimming, we come to Muslim countries. I don't know about here. But in Jamaica, we lived in Jamaica, we had some of the most beautiful beaches in the world. And we would get all the Muslims together and say, how many of you know how to swim? And it's only about 1 in 10. I don't want to embarrass you, but how many of you actually know how to swim? Right? You want to raise your hands? Okay, how many can swim here? Okay, mashallah, that's not bad. That's not bad, but it's only about 50% maybe. So 50% of us living here, in the beautiful Australia with the, coastlines and beaches and everything, and we can't swim. How many of you have ever caught a fish? I don't mean catch it in the supermarket, right? But how many of you put on your bait and threw it out and caught a fish? Raise your hand. MashaAllah, that's not bad. That's not bad. And so these are the things that we have to learn. We have to go fishing, we have to go swimming, we have to go hiking, right? We have to learn martial arts, we have to learn survival, right? If the brothers want to get, their ego, they have rites of passage, they're teenagers, and they want to express themselves, instead of gang banging and fighting each other, take him on, put a raft on his back and go in the bush, right? Go in dingo country, right? And then see if he's a man when the dingoes are there. Okay, it is better he fights the dingoes than he fights the other gangs downtown in the streets. And so this is what we need. Challenge ourselves in the natural world, right? And not with these false things, because it ends up with drugs, ends up with fornication and crime, terrible crimes we fall in, and the shaitan is waiting for us. So natural alternatives are, an important issue. Another question is saying, it's speaking about this research that is there in Arabic. Inshallah, I will listen to this tonight. They gave it to me recently in a disc. Maybe I'll give it to the Amir too. I'll put it on a flash drive and I'll give it to the Amir. So inshallah, you can have this available and see this study. I just caught the first half of it. It's unbelievable what he has found. But I will try to see it and then mention his name tomorrow, inshallah. But I'll leave this with you so that you can view this together and see what this researcher has come with. And it is in the Arabic language, but we can get it translated for those who don't speak Arabic. It says, my friends make fun of me when I don't want to talk to boys and join their parties and music and dancing, and they know it's wrong, but they don't believe you can behave. Well, it's important, and one of the issues coming up in our 40 Hadith of Islamic Revival, which we're doing a course at ISNA headquarters. And inshallah, I'll be leaving this text with you as a metan. The Prophet ﷺ said in one of the traditions, he said that a person, al-maru ala dini khalili, فَلْيَنْظُرْ أَحَدُكُمْ مَنْ يُخَالِلُ. O kama qala Alayhi Salatu Wasalam. He said the person will be on the religion of his friend. And so make sure who are your friends. This is an important thing. This deals with what we call today peer pressure. It's peer pressure. So the Prophet ﷺ is saying, you're going to be on the religion of your friends. So if your friends don't like to make salat, if your friends swear, then you're going to be following their lifestyle. Because you're with them and you want to make salat and none of them are making salat. So you feel strange amongst them. So try to be with people who make salat. Who are modest, who don't swear and carry on with different activities. And so then life will be easy. It may be difficult, at first, but make sure that you watch who you make your friends. This is the advice from the Prophet ﷺ. It says the companions of the Prophet ﷺ had direct access to the Prophet and hence became the best generation. Is it possible that we can reach their level? If not, is it fair that the previous generations are able to reach a state of piety that is unattainable? Well, this is the best generation that ever existed. But there are many traditions saying that near the end of time there would be other people who would come along, and they would love the Prophet ﷺ. They would be greatly blessed as well. And so, we are in this time, and the fact we have never seen the Prophet ﷺ, many of us never originally spoke Arabic. And so there is a great blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us. But you cannot expect to reach the level of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, because they were in a special time period. And that is, chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to set the example for other people until the day of resurrection. So I leave you with these thoughts, and I ask Allah to have mercy on me and you. And I emphasize again now that these words that I'm saying to you, I'm not saying to you just for entertainment. But I'm saying it to you because this is a reality that Muslims are facing. Our families are suffering. Our children are suffering. And so we are called upon now to do something. to give from where it hurts and to commit ourselves now. And if you got anything out of the words that I have said tonight, then you need to commit yourself to do something to assist this community. And we have to drop these names. I don't like this group. I don't like that leader. I don't like this school of thought. We have to drop this now and to support an Islamic activity, if it is being done within, the levels of Ahlul Sunnah wa Jama'ah. Even if it's not our group, we support other Muslims as Ahlul Qibla. And inshallah, our Jamaat here has promised to open up the doors, for all Muslims to come inside, this facility, and for children to benefit in this. So I leave you in the capable hands of the Jama'ah, and I pray that Allah Azza wa Jal would forgive me for any mistakes that I have made, and would give you the best blessings in this life and the hereafter. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.